I invaded a 10th planet gym. Invaded, okay? I went to an open match where I ended up going toe-to-toe against a top-tier black belt who competed at this last ADCC. Welcome back to Gym Takeover. It has been a hot second since I've made one of these, but it is time to get back out there and get some of those unique looks. And what better way than to kick it off with some juicy, no-gi JiuJitsu. The mats were stacked pretty thick on this particular day, so a little bit of slippage was inevitable. But it's always good when you got mats packed back-to-back with people who are down to put in some work. Now, unless you've just hit puberty and your body is chocked to the brim with WP&E, it's a good idea to warm up the body with some flow rolling, which this gentleman was cool enough to do with me. Very nice of him considering I am just a visitor. First up on deck, I'm going up against a fellow brown belt that I know from my time competing out in the boonies. You better not judge my haircut. Look, I was clearly still figuring stuff out, okay? Now, we are all about the quick subs on this channel, but yeah, he's clearly seen that one before. He is letting me grab his head. I think he's trying to set something up. I'm feeling like my grip is decent, so I use it to sweep the leg. This is a very low commitment takedown, which is good if you have commitment issues. In his quarter guard, I grab his right hand and walk my hips into his, looking to flatten him on the mat. He tries to turn into me, but since I have an underhook, I go for the spinning armbar. Fortunately, he's able to get his elbow to the mat. Let me tie up these shorts real quick so nothing sus happens. Again, he lets me grab a hold of his head. You can see he's pummeling his grips, definitely trying to set something up here. As the grip fighting intensifies, he reveals his hand to me, going for the sitting armbar, a favorite of mine. Should have seen that one coming. I'm able to pull my elbow out, but that was close. This looked a lot cooler in my head. Another tricksy armbar attempt. As he circles the turtle, I'm using these hands to block any sudden movement. I have enough space here to throw in my right hook, and since he's not moving, I throw in my left hook too, taking his full back. Here I want to keep my hips low on his back. That way it's not easy for him to throw me over his head. He's got good base here, which is keeping me from chopping him off to his side. Since I'm having the hard time with the choke, I hook his arm and roll towards his feet, looking for an armbar, but he's wise to it and tries to walk his legs over my body, trapping me underneath him. The only thing saving me here is the fact I've got my shin across his head, keeping him from smashing me completely. This is a pretty sus position to be in. I am not a fan at all. As I'm looking to adjust my grip, he tries to roll out of it, but I've got a decent squeeze and I'm able to get the tap. I decide it's time to work some of that ground game. You can see here he is dead set on taking my ankle home with him. It's a somewhat deep grip here, but is not controlling the top of my knee, which is gonna allow me to pull myself out. He's still attacking the ankle, so I get up to my feet to sprawl out. He tries to invert for another attack, but I'm using my head to block his leg, keeping him from completing the rotation. As he's looking to turn into me, I go to the head, but he's able to beat me to the punch. So I circle to the back, slide my right hook in. I'm looking for the second hook, but he blocks me with his elbow. A little bit of hand fighting ensues, and he gives me the opening so I can slide my hook in. Now again, I want to chop out his base, putting him on his side, but he has got one chunky base. So I bite down on his forearm with both my hands. This gives me enough pull to put him on his back. It'd be sick to get a finish here, but he's just not having it, constantly stripping my grips. This goes on for a little bit. It ends up going to this thing. Oh no, is that the timer I hear? Now chat, let us take a second to talk about Andy Varela, star pupil of Coach Casey, the kingpin of this joint. Andy's standout performances last year would launch him to the top tier of black belts, giving him a spot at ADCC, which is the Olympics of Jiu-Jitsu. Now, according to the lore, his favorite submission is the rear naked choke.
Foreshadowing is a literary technique in fiction and
But before we get to him, let's check out this round I have with a really scrappy blue belt who gave me a run for my money. Now, if you are a tall boy, it's gonna be a lot harder for you to lower your levels and go for a takedown. Well, I guess nobody ever told him that. As I go for a shot here, he looks for a guillotine, and as I shake his hand to pull out, he's gonna go for a single leg of his own. As I'm doing the hopscotch, I use my head to make him look away from me, and as he tries to transition, I pummel my foot to the outside of his hip, which is gonna make him bail on the takedown. Now, he does have a pretty good double leg. As he goes for it again, this time I use my elbows to keep him from getting the connection he wants. I'm not trying to get choked here, so I push on his head, going for a low commitment sweep, but my man's got some of that skater boy balance. I've gotta stop being a pansy and actually commit to something, so I go for a slick arm drag to run the pipe takedown. From here, I'm instantly trying to crowd his hips. Since he has good wrestling, if I give him the slightest amount of space, he'll be able to stand up on me, which is exactly what he tries to do here, but homeboy behind coming in with the assist. As I'm looking for a stack pass of some sort, he's able to push off, and notice how he switches sides, getting his left foot underneath him so he can stand up. As I reach for his head, he drops for a shot. I shut him out, but since my arm is extended, he grabs my wrist, sliding in for a beautiful arm drag single leg. You can see he's trying to pick my leg up, so I pummel my foot to the outside of his hip. Ideally, I would push on his head and look to break his grip, but your boy's feeling a little spicy today. I grab his wrist to trap his arm and then drop my hips underneath his, using my leg as a butterfly hook, but he keeps the roll going, getting his base underneath him. I'm gonna throw my left leg over, looking for a belly down arm bar, but as you can see, I've got zero control over his head, and he's doing a good job of controlling my bottom leg. This is a pretty sus position for your boy. I need to find a way to bail out of it, so I use the force to set off the timer, ending the round. Alright, let's get to the point of the video. How am I, the world's greatest YouTuber, going to stack up against a black belt? Show some respect, do some handsy stuff. And what we have right here is a classic tie-up. We're both looking to offset each other's balances with our grips. But you know, I've been around. You're not really gonna catch me off guard that much. That didn't happen. That was, AI art. Actually. Remember how I said he's a fan of the rear naked choke? Well, that was a little embarrassing. I've got to be more proactive with my grip fighting. I'm not liking this situation, so I'm gonna bail out of it. As we tie up, he goes right back for that same move. It's hard to see, but this grip that he has feels like he's a professional rock climber. I'm basing with all fours to keep him from picking me up, so he circles and drops his weight on my head, which is gonna chop down my arms and keep me from basing. As he's looking for my back, I'm trying to walk my shoulders on the mat, but he's able to use his leg and arm to pull himself underneath me. He only has one hook in, but is crossing his ankles, which gives a shit ton of control. I've got to defend my neck here, but like quicksand, he's able to slide them under my neck and lock up another RNC. Back in the same position we are. I decide to pull guard here because I'm not trying to give up my back a third time. He's looking to pass with this hip and knee grip, so I step on his shoulder looking for some space. So he grabs my leg, shooting his hips in for a stack pass. I go to turtle looking for a scramble, but he goes for a deep grip on my hip, steps over with his foot, and then pulls me on top of him and off to the side. Doesn't even try to throw in his second hook for the back. Instead, he just goes over the neck, behind the neck, and squeezes. Now, I'm not trying to tie up with him again. I push off, but he is persistent. This time going for a cheeky snap down into foot sweep attempt. I am not with this at all. I'm doing my best to get him out of my personal bubble. This whole cat and mouse game goes on for a second. As I step forward, he hits a snap down, which puts me off balance. I'm trying to turn into him here, but he uses a body lock grip to flatten me and step over into mount. Okay. He then uses his underhook to walk my elbow high, looking to isolate that arm. From here, he could go right into an arm triangle, but he decides he's content to wait, just driving his shoulder into my face, making it darn near impossible for me to breathe. And after he can tell I've lost most of my pop, he then goes for the submission. Not gonna lie, I was feeling a little frustrated here. Grappling him feels like grappling a brick wall. Everything I try to do just falls flat. But that is jiu-jitsu. When you step on the mat, you get an honest representation of how your skills stack up in a world with more fakes and phonies than an ad for cryptocurrency. Jiu-jitsu is that one thing that's always gonna be real.